Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Our next guest is a musician and producer who recently released his debut album, Back to Love. Please help me welcome the talented B-Boy Soul. Welcome to the show.
Peace, peace. Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Listen, I know you just released your album on the 21st. So glad to have you here, promoting it, talking all about it. Let's go back to the beginning. Now, you're we're kind of from the same area. You're from Richmond, Virginia.
804.
Yeah. So tell us, I know you got your start in church, as a lot of talented artists do. Tell us about those early days for you.
Grew up in the Baptist Church, Southside Richmond First Baptist Church. The man who baptized me would later become my city's mayor. I also grew up that church in one of the roughest neighborhoods in the city, in the Blackwell community. Now they try to call it Manchester.
Right.
But nah, that's Blackwell. James H. Blackwell, one of the first African-American principals in the Richmond public school system. So it'll forever be Blackwell. And that's my upbringing. Richmond public schools, educated, all of that. Born in MCV, born and raised in the city.
Okay. So tell us how those early days, growing up in church, growing up in Richmond, Virginia, how that kind of cultivated your sound and the music that you do.
Well, of course, like so many others from where we're from, the church was the introduction to the music that it was the first place that I could see music or see instruments or have access to the things that being coming from a single parent home didn't have a lot of things. We had a piano in the house, but the church was my first access to like drums and electric guitars and electric basses and stuff like that. So, and then like I said, the church was in my neighborhood. Right. And my family was pretty well known. So it was always a heavy influence, the spiritual aspect. And then that musical aspect. My grandmother was a choir director, my mother sang. So early on, music was always a part of my upbringing.
Absolutely.
Church
music. You talk about the piano. I heard the piano that kind of put you on with the family. They thought the radio was playing. It was really you. Tell us about that.
It was me, man. I had a gift for hearing things and reproducing them audibly. So like I said, there was a piano in my home. My grandfather gave my mother a piano when she was a kid. And there was a piano in my home. So I would hear these things on TV. At the time, it was The Young and the Restless. I heard the theme from The Young and the Restless and boom, I was on it. And one particular time, my grandmother heard the theme from The Young and the Restless at a time where she knew that The Young and the Restless shouldn't be on.
Right.
So that's when they realized I had the gift for being able to hear music and reproduce it.
Most definitely. So when did you decide that music was going to be the thing to get you to be your career, going to be the thing that, that you just put all your energy into?
Man, I'll be honest, I'm going to be transparent. It was right around my sophomore, between the sophomore and freshman year, sophomore and junior year in college, when frankly, I realized that I could live the same lifestyle as the streets without the risk.
Right.
Without the danger and you know what I mean, the risk of bodily harm and the risk of loss of freedom and detriment to my community. I could still party, I could still travel, have nice things, be around beautiful people, and not have to worry about getting shot at.
Right.
So I decided, let me try that.
Absolutely. And Wes Felton of the Crossroads, you credit him to really seeing that gift. And tell us about that relationship and how
Wes is my brother, and of course Raheem is one of the more instrumental people in my journey, in my career. But Wes Felton, I would have to put just a step above Raheem even in that regard, in that he introduced me to Raheem. He and I met. I was a side man in the industry. The side man, if you're not familiar, you just play for people. They call you, send you the plane tickets, tell you when to be there. You learn the music, you show up, you do the job, you go home. That's what I was doing. And I happened to have to play for Wes Felton. And we hit it off, man. And we became friends, developed a relationship, traveled, doing work. he needed a sub for a Crossroads gig, and I was that sub. And that's how I met Raheem, which is how I met the people at SRG, which is how this album is being brought to the world.
And Raheem said after he started when he met you and I heard your stuff, he said he had to do something with you, whether it be production or collaboration. And the fact that you all have this business / friendship, I mean, you've dreamt it yourself.
This is gonna sound weird. Yes.
Okay.
Everything that I'm experiencing, people say, who would have thought? Well, me, I would have thought. Like I have, it borders to some people, they may see it as arrogance or cockiness, but for me, it's just confidence. Every move I'm making, I've seen it before I've done it. So when it happens, I'm grateful more so than surprised. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. You talk a lot about duality in your music. Explain to the viewers what that is. What that means.
Well, for me, music is art, and art imitates life. And I don't believe in singularities, generalizations, or monoliths, or anything like that in life.
Right.
I believe that everything exists, at least on some level, in a duality. So that said, I believe that my music is a duality. I'm a trained musician. I love jazz music, but I'm a hip hop baby. So there's that duality in that. I love Nina Simone, but I also love City Girls. There's a duality in that.
Exactly.
We hear all of these influences, or rather these dualities, in my art in some way. Or at least that's my hope.
Most definitely. So let's talk about the new album, the new project, Back to Love. You work with some of everybody. Raheem, Wale, the Hamiltons, which is Anthony Hamilton's background singers, love them. Eric Roberson, Radio B, Fan Rand, Carmen Rogers, we talk about Wes and Andrew and Rob Brown. Now, these are all people that you already had relationships with. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how did it all come together that you said, okay, now it's time for me to work on this album?
That is the part where I have to credit Raheem.
Okay.
Like I stated before, as a sideman, for me it was a job. It was a way for me to again make a living without the risk of the streets and without the, for lack of a better, the tedious nature of a 9 to 5, if you will. But in having said that, in that I had kind of lost the love for the craft, for the craft of music and the gift of creation. Just like any job, it becomes routine.
And work,
And so Raheem, we were on the road. I never forget it. We were in Chicago at the House of Blues, in the green room, and he asked a question. He said, "Have you ever thought about doing more?" Just a simple question was the catalyst to all of this. And from there, he gave me some kind of vision casting type assignments. He said, "You know what? Write out what a project would look like. Write out what it would look like. Who would you like to work with? These type of things." And that's how it happened. He put the seed in my head that grew into the love, the coming back to love. For me, back to love is it's coming back to the love for my craft and the respect and love for my gift as a creator.
Absolutely. And so the first single that you all released was the remix to Mr. Midnight, which that's Raheem's song. Is that correct? Was that an original song he had done?
Yes, sir. He did that song about a year or so ago with some producers called the Colleagues, dope cats from out of Atlanta. Yeah,
he actually was on the show promoting that record, so that's why I remembered it. So you all did the remix to that. Tell us about the process of, because you take a remix, and what makes a good remix for you? A song that's already solid, and then you bring in your flavor to it. How did that? What was that process for you?
That's a great question. In my opinion, a great remix, it has enough of the original that is still familiar to invite people who love the original work. So you have that. In this particular instance, Raheem said he wanted a remix. He was trying to do a remix to the record. And he wanted to see what I came up with. In all honesty and transparency, the first draft, he didn't like it.
Mm.
And he says to me, which was a good thing. It was universing again because
Right.
he didn't like it, and he verbalized what he wanted to see happen. He said, "Yo, think of this as if you and I were on stage, just me and you on piano, me singing it, a more intimate, sensual version of the original."
Right.
And from there, I went back to the drawing board and came out with what we hear today.
Yeah, he didn't just say I don't like it. He explained to you
Right.
what he heard.
He didn't even say he didn't like it. It was more, no, this is not what I'm looking for.
Right, yeah. Which I'm sure you took as constructive feedback,
I was just gonna say, man, and that's, man, when you're doing something for someone else, you gotta kind of remove your ego and trust your skill set and abilities to provide what that person wants, what they're asking for.
Absolutely. Well, the next single is Sugar Love with the Hamiltons, which I just listened to. I love the single. You said it's for grown folk. This is definitely for grown folk. This is grown folk music. Tell us about Sugar Love and the what was behind it. What was the inspiration behind that?
Sugar Love, you know what? Funny story, man. I'll anything that inspires me, I'll create. I have my living room set up as a studio. So even when I'm chilling by myself or with friends, if an idea, inspiration hits me, I'm able to execute. This song, it was around this time, a little early, around New Year's, because I remember because it was bowl season, football, the college bowl season. The Sugar Bowl was on TV.
Okay.
And I had a random wild thought, like, wow, that's funny. Sugar Bowl, like the game, or a bowl of sugar. So I sat down and wrote this song, originally called Sugar Bowl, about girl, you're my sugar bowl.
Yeah.
That song sat on my hard drive for about 4, maybe 5 years, until such time as I came to make the acquaintance of the Hamiltons.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. And just like most of the other records, again, I would go back through from time to time and listen to the work that I've done. Like, the Hamiltons would sound amazing on this record. And that's how it happened. I invited them to be a part of the creation process on the record. I had a reference that I had sang, and the song was pretty much done. We just kind of worked it out together. And man, now I gotta say, it's probably my favorite song on the album.
Yeah, well, it's definitely dope. Definitely dope. We're playing it after this interview. I can't wait for everybody to hear it. So, how does it feel having the record out now? I mean, you put a lot of work into it, obviously, a lot of work in your soul, you into this, and now it's here for everyone to hear. What's that? How does that feel for you as an artist?
Well, there's still a little bit of wait yet because it's not globally released until Friday. But being this close, it's a very gratifying feeling. This is my first major release, meaning that this is the first release of mine with the weight of a machine behind it. SRG, shout out to SRG Virgin Universal. So I'm excited. Again, like I said before, I'm not surprised.
Right.
Because there's and I believe maybe I'm not the only person that feels this way, but I saw it before it happened.
Absolutely.
So I'm grateful that I'm able to see it in the tangible, in the physical, but I'm not surprised. So as I get closer, I'm looking for those surprises. I'm looking for those things that I didn't expect. Because already there have been some things like, wow, I expected this, but this is larger.
Right.
So it's a positive anxiety, if you will.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how to say it, but it's a sense of y'all gonna learn today. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, you talk about duality, and I was thinking about this because Neo, he said in a recent interview that people have taken the love out of music. Today's generation is taking the love out of music, and he said that "Come Here, Bitch" or "You're My Bitch" or that has replaced the love. And I know you talked about loving different types of music. Do you agree with them, or do you think that every generation has its own thing?
I have some slight pushback to what he said.
Okay.
I don't think they've taken the love out of music. I think in much of maybe a lazy way, they've taken the poetry out of music. No one, I mean, music has always had its sensual and sexual aspects or lanes. It's just before you said it different.
Right.
Now everybody's it's just so literal that it's lost the poetry.
Yeah.
So I understand his sentiment, but the love is there, and the love is there as it exists in mainstream culture.
Right.
Love in mainstream culture has become very surface, very transactional. And that's and the art, again, the art represents life.
Yeah.
The art imitates life, rather.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, yeah.
Well, what do you want when a person listens to this whole project, you know, everything you put into it, what do you want them to walk away, the listener to walk away with the feeling? What do you want them to take away from this project?
That's an awesome question as well. Okay, so there's the human or ego side. I want people to walk away with a positive feeling,
right,
to my abilities. I want them to like, and not just like, I want them to have good emotions and feelings from the art that I put out.
Yeah.
I say that with the small caveat of it's not why I did it,
right?
But it's that's what I hope. I hope that people are inspired to open up their audio palettes, if they will, and not just listen to and for what mainstream media and radio presents to them. Not be lazy. The music is there. You just got to search for it instead of turning on your radio. So I hope that people are inspired to not just listen to me, but listen to artists like me. Listen to some of the artists on my project. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, where can everyone keep up with everything you have going on? I mean, it's just getting started. Where can we keep up with everything?
It is just getting started, man. I think that the best way, so B-Boy Soul, it's BOBEE, of course, BOY, $OUL on all of your DSPs. I'm already in your phone. I'm on your Tidal, your Pandora, your Apple Music, Spotify, etc., etc. The only thing, take the $ out, put an S there for your social media. You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, IG, and so forth and so on. And in fact, if you go to my IG, you go to the link in the bio, and you can find everything else you need. So
the album is called Back to Love.
Sir.
Boy Soul, thank you so much, man, for taking time out your schedule, and much success to you. And you gotta keep in touch with us.
Will do, man. It's gonna be like I said, like you said, this is just the beginning. There's much coming. I want to say thank you, and I appreciate you having me on your platform.
Most definitely. 804. Like I said, the album is Back to Love. It's out January 21st. Download it wherever you get your music, and we will be right back after this.